What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Seth, and we are back games about Trove, and today we're talking about the improvements update that is going to be coming out sometime in August, hopefully early August, maybe mid-August, but this is the improvements update. It's on the test server right now. If you want to check it out on PC, all you gotta do is just have a normal Trove account, and then you just load up into the PTS. And well, either way, I've got a side video that's going to be talking about it. But for today, we're going to be going over the patch notes on the test server, and then of course when this ends up going live, we're going to kind of redo the patch notes and kind of talk about a lot of the changes, which most notably is going to be to the Ice Age, because with this update comes a rework to the class, and we'll touch upon it a little bit in today's video, but I'll have a separate video that's going to talk more specifically about the changes that are going on with the Ice Age. And even then, that video is going to end up being updated, much like I still need to do an update to the Revenant video, because a lot of things end up changing during the time that these characters get their rework on the test server, and then when it actually ends up going to the live server. I just never got around to redoing the Revenant one, sorry to say. But Ice Age got quite a few changes, and then this dragon we'll talk a little bit more in detail as well. So Bomber Royale is going to end up seeing quite a few changes. They're going to have a couple potential Bomber Royale maps that are running on the test server but may not actually be included with the improvements update. Unfortunately, the PTS is almost completely dead in the first place, let alone trying to get people to even go into Bomber Royale. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see this map right here, which is kind of all Geode U10 themed. Looks like a small map, looks really ugly. Kind of looks like it would be fun just because it's kind of small, but the fact that it's so like ugly and gross and gray is just like, I want the same thing but on like floating islands or something. I don't know. They also have spectate mode as well. I don't even know how we're supposed to test that when we can't actually get into any of the games or anything like that. Let me go to D&D because those people found me and they're going to try and attack me. But then they also are changing Bomber Royale quite a bit with this update. So kill credit is now granted to the player that caused damage to the other player within a 15-second, well, just within 15 seconds. So if you tag somebody with a bomb, then they die by lava within 15 seconds, you're going to end up getting the kills. So you should see people actually getting credit for kills a lot more often in Bomber Royale. And then on top of it, the amount of experience gained. So this is the amount of experience gained towards your class, towards leveling up. They've actually changed it so that you're going to end up gaining more experience based on being a more aggressive player and based on the amount of damage that you end up doing to other players in Bomber Royale and stuff like that. Now, why this is relevant is because as of right now, I would actually highly recommend that you grind out Bomber Royale to get experience for your classes, because Bomber Royale on the live server anyways is actually probably the best way of farming XP in the entire game right now. Like it's actually broken amounts of XP. It's awesome. But when this update ends up coming in, of course, they're going to be rewarding more aggressive playstyle, so you can't just camp around in a corner and gain XP, which is better overall for the game. Like, it should punish people that are just hiding the entire round, because otherwise that happens all too often. But generally, people are starting to get a lot more aggressive in Bomber Royale in the first place, right? So quite a few other small changes have happened with Bomber Royale, but I'll let you guys read through the patch notes because we can't really experience them while we're going in the match, but those are the big noted ones. So club and adventure changes have also changed a bit. Clubs can now be reordered in your list anywhere you want, so you just click the up arrow and that's going to throw that up top and so on and so forth. And your primary club should finally end up being channel 1. Because I don't know about you guys, I was constantly dealing with like Team Pixel on the live server is like channel 5 for me, even though I have all of the chats turned off except for like that main chat. So nice that they got that. An X button has also been added to the like worlds UI. So we actually don't need to use the mod anymore to end up actually unfavoriting worlds, which is, that's just fantastic. Because otherwise, like I don't even think there was a mod that ended up doing it. There was a mod that ended up showing all of the propped worlds or something, but now it actually just has the option of being able to unprop them right then and there. Because what would often happen, and this is most of all from the beta days, right, is I would end up propping one of these clubs from back in the day, go back to it, find out that it's completely dead, if not destroyed, and there's no more prop hearts, so I couldn't unprop it and get it off of my list. So I'm actually really excited about that small change because I can clear that up, right? So club ranks will now also have a presidential candidate permission. and only players in ranks with this permission will be considered to replace the president. So the way that works is if some, like if the president is offline for, I think it's like 30 days or something like that, normally the vice president would end up gaining the presidential command in a club, right? I honestly don't know why they have all this president and stuff. Like, it's all Americanized. It's just weird as far as Trove is concerned to have a president of the club. It's just, I don't know. But anyways, now it seems that we can actually pick and choose. Okay, I want 2 VIPs, but I only want this one VIP to actually qualify for this. Or maybe they're just talking about the permissions themselves. Yeah, presidential candidate. Okay, so it's just going to end up being vice president, officer, and why would you want everybody to be able to qualify for the president? I don't fully understand that, man. That's kind of weird. Anyways, the club adventure, so completing PvP arena matches, has been replaced with a new adventure to throw 100 bombs in Bomber Royale, which all right, sure, we'll take it. The club adventure complete time challenges has also had its required count changed from 10 to 3, thank goodness, because otherwise that quest sucked. Collect a chaos chest quest will no longer grant credit for chaos chests acquired from loot collecting other items. So I guess you have to just go and find it out in the world. And then a /adventure rewards command has been added to show the number of rewards available for various adventure types. So that's kind of interesting. It means that we can kind of just, I guess, peek behind the curtain a little bit and see which quests end up giving good XP, or good adventurine, I should say. And then adventures can no longer be accepted if they will not grant any rewards. Note that Club XP is considered a reward, so Club Adventures can be accepted past the 220 limit. So if you guys don't know, because it's almost impossible to do anymore, back in the day when we could just do the kill 30 enemies farming over and over and over again, you could actually reach the limit of doing club quests and getting adventurine. You can only complete 220 quests within a day. And otherwise, from that point on, you won't end up getting any adventurine. So just to clarify, that's what they're talking about. So dragons, there's 2 new dragons in the game. I only have one of them. I don't have the other one, which is from a new store pack. I will insert a screenshot right here, right now. Bloop. That is kind of a bee dragon. He looks small and cute, and I don't know what's going to happen with it, but that dragon was actually last year, I think. Yeah, last year, one of the developers ended up having this thing where people could quite literally pay money that would end up being donated to charity in order to end up getting items in the game. Now, I've talked about this in the past. I only found out about this event long after it was finished, so I'm hoping that they end up doing it again, because I am totally down for not only just spending money towards charity, but just the fact that we'd be able to force items into the game, so I could actually get like certain dragons and new skeletons of creatures and junk like that, blah 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 blah. So the extra life pack is going to be coming around, and that's going to end up being $15. I'll put a screenshot of what that is right in there, and it's a pretty good deal actually. Tryon Worlds is pretty much taking like 50% of the actual money instead of it all going to charity, which, I mean, that's what Tryon Worlds always kind of does with their charities, unfortunately. But I guess at least it is going to end up helping, and I do think that it is a good pack worth actually buying, especially considering the fact that there's other dragon packs like these idiots right here that are $50 each and just not worth it whatsoever. Like, these are $20 tops, you know, whereas now with this other pack, we're getting like a dragon, a mount, a couple costumes, including a Dino Tamer costume that was a long time coming. But then anyways, there's going to end up being this dragon right here, which I think he's disgusting. I like his wings. I wish that the kind of feathered parts of the wing was actually a little bit transparent. And I really wish, like, the face of this thing, it's got to go. Like, throw it in the recycling bin and then empty the recycling bin. Because whatever person ended up making this head of this dragon, like, they just did an awful job, dude. It just looks awful to me. Not to mention the eye VFX are just all off center and stuff. And the video effects in general of this dragon are kind of reused. But if you're wondering what this dragon is about, it's going to quite literally be Dark Chaos Vaults, which now we can actually end up crafting them. Oddly enough, they're a lot cheaper than the light vaults, because the light vaults are going to cost forged stellar souls and radiant souls, whereas this guy's going to end up costing 10 pentas instead, with all of the time gated resources, of course. But pretty easy to craft these. I of course don't have any dragonite, otherwise I'd be able to craft quite a few more of these, and it's going to end up being 10 a pop. So if you end up getting dark peg wings, you might want to save them, because you can loot collect them into the fragments for this dragon. The dark pegasus mount itself is going to loot collect into fragments for this dragon, and the dragon itself is going to be like, you are going to be able to get this dragon through dragon effigy. So if you're a pay to win player, don't worry, but if you're free to play, it's going to take quite a bit in order to actually get this guy, because you gotta do all that stuff. But at the least, it's going to end up giving you mastery, whereas the dark peg mount is not. And if we actually look down here, this is going to end up being the egg right here is going to be 100 fragments and then 10,000 flux, and then the dragon crafting itself is going to end up being insane, because it's going to cost forged stellar souls, chaos cores of all things, and then even more time gated despoiled divinity. Like I really disagree with the fact that the devs are constantly throwing despoiled divinity into so many crafting recipes, considering the fact that we've already got like so many of these required for costumes and the divinity dragon, and now we're actually having other dragons costing it as well, which makes it like look at this is 35 divinity souls. You can only end up getting 3 a week. Like, that's insane, dude. Like, if we end up doing 35 divided by 3, that's going to be 11 weeks of divinity souls just to end up getting this one dragon, and not including all the dark vaults and stuff like that, dude. Like, it's crazy. So anyways, here's going to end up being the bee dragon. The fragments of the dragon are going to end up dropping from bee enemies, and because it's a specific enemy type, this dragon is just as bad as the spider dragon. Little bit, you know, he's a little bit easier than the Starfire Dragon, just in that the enemies themselves are going to end up being more common than elite enemies in the Shadow Tower. But either way, this dragon is it's got terrible odds of drop rate. Like, it really does. And then golden souls and all this other stuff, I mean, that's just all super duper easy. So anyways, never mind the dragons, let's skip on over to the store. Yeah, so the Hardy Party Pack 1, which is going to end up being the Extra Life Pack. And the fact that it says 1 means that they are going to end up having more than one pack, of course, because we know for a fact that there are quite a few other items that we aren't seeing in this pack. Like Mark, for example, ended up actually buying a helmet that is going to end up getting into the game, and that's not actually in this pack or anything. Oh, and then also I guess I should mention here, just because I know it's going to be further in the patch notes, but finally we can actually just click this little pen right here, and then we can choose our name color. I wish it would actually just say the name color instead of Trove Mastery Leader, Total Mastery Leader, Geode Mastery Leader. Like, that's so confusing, man. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. But either way, Geode is going to end up being, if you're within the top 2,000 for Geode Mastery, you can select this and get a blue name. Total Trove Mastery, top 2,000 Trove Mastery gives you a yellow name. And then just top of both Geode and Trove Mastery is going to end up giving you an orange name. You're only going to be able to select these different colors if you actually have them available. So you have to be within the leaderboard in the first place. And then there's going to end up being the Ice Stage changes, which again, we'll talk about that in another video, but just to give a quick little impression here, we've got it so our main attack has changed, our class gem ability has changed so that every third attack on an enemy, not just on the ground, I wish it was just on the ground because of how laggy the shots can be, but your class gem ability is going to end up causing an explosion. Your main attack is not going to end up slowing enemies anymore. Your right click is, and your right click, as you can see, is not affected by the class gem ability anymore. Like, it's just a completely different ability. And then oddly enough, they ended up actually switching our number 1 and our number 2. So our ultimate actually ends up becoming our shield. And just to give a short summary, because I'm going to talk about this in more detail with the class itself, from testing and from some of the changes that they've actually made with this character, they've made it so that the Ice Sage is actually good for Ultra Towers, but at the same time, they made it so that the class is not a tank anymore in any way, shape, or form. You can't tank Dread, thus you can't tank any of the Titan bosses, so you're pretty useless on Dread and most of the other Titans, outside of the fact that you can still slow down enemies with your right click, because your left click for some reason doesn't do it anymore, despite the fact that the description says that it does. Or at least it did say it does. Yeah, slowing their movement speed. It does not slow enemies at all to actually use that ability. But anyways, Using your shield, it's not going to be toggled anymore. Now it's going to end up giving you movement speed, attack speed, and various other effects, and it's going to end up having a, it's going to last for 5 seconds and have a cooldown of 30 seconds. Pretty brutal, right? So just to give a quick summary of the gameplay of this guy now, you're actually going to be very, very spammy on your number 1 pretty much any time that you can. Look at that cooldown, it's a lot shorter. And you're just going to end up using your right click to kill enemies in shadow towers until you end up having your ult, and then you're going to swap to just using your basic attack, so long as you have your class gem anyways, and that's going to cause mega damage just for a short burst, and then you just go back to right clicking. So it's cool that you actually get to use all of your attacks as the Ice Age now. I like that they're kind of making him a utility character, but I still don't really like the fact that they single-handedly made the Ice Sage useless for U9 farming, because originally you could use your shield for a movement speed build, which it's not that you can't use your Ice Sage, it's just that you're not in the top 5 for speed farming in U9 anymore. And then also for Titan bosses, you're kind of useless. But for Ultra Towers, they ended up making you a lot stronger, which is pretty cool, and the fact that you're doing so much extra damage. But again, we'll talk about that in a separate video. So the weekly leaderboard has changed quite a bit. The Vanguard is going to finally see their part in the weekly contest, as well as items loot collected is going to return to the weekly leaderboard, and buying back items will end up actually taking away from the player's score. So you can't just... I guess you can't loot collect items, buy them back, and then loot collect them again or something. I don't know why they're saying this, because honestly speaking, what you can do is just loot collect everything just before the rollover of the weekly event, and then once it's rolled over, then you just buy all your items back. I mean, if you're that desperate to end up winning that contest, but who honestly cares anyways? Weekly contest leaderboards are now on a 4-week rotation instead of 5, so each week there is now 4 class PR contests instead of 3, so we should see a lot more characters in there, which they ended up actually changing it as well, so that this is going to be the definitive way. Okay, PTS is broken, but it's the only way that we can end up getting Bound Brilliance outside of our tome right now, is if you have a class that's at 5,000 power rank and up, that's on the weekly leaderboard, you're going to be able to get yourself 5 Bound Brilliance. So long as you have all of your characters at over 5,000 PR, yikes, what's going on with this game? Maybe it crashed or something, but you're going to be able to get, I think it's like 20 Bound Brilliance a week based on the leaderboard alone, so it's not bad, but I don't know. And then they also ended up adding some dungeons. They added tons and tons of styles. They added 20 hat styles, 25 face styles, 10 melee styles, 41 gun styles, 8 bow styles, 19 staff styles, 39 spear styles, and oh man, guess how many styles they added for... Oh, I can't even swap to it. Guess how many styles they ended up adding for the Vanguard, the newest class of Trove that has had 1 costume added to the game since it's been injected into the game, despite the fact that it's one of the most popular characters right now, and they should be capitalizing on it. None. No punching fist weapon styles whatsoever. But they say that we're going to end up getting possibly 1 costume when U10 comes out. Wow, I'm so excited. Like, seriously, I want them to add more Vanguard stuff, man. Especially they add so many to all the other characters. And it's cool styles, don't get me wrong. But it's like, come on, man. The Vanguard is in desperate need. So now we're on the additional updates. And this is actually where the bulk of the big good changes end up happening. One being the fact that our map icon is finally going to end up appearing above other players' names. So that's really nice. Also, apparently, they've made some server optimization so things are less laggy. Yeah, right. Generally speaking, I think that as the game ends up, it's like, it feels to me like what happens with Trove is their internet cache just builds up and then they just clear it and the lag kind of goes down, but at the same time, like, it's still always there no matter what. So I don't know, it should moderately reduce lag, they say. So you guys let me know feedback when this update actually ends up going live, because right now it's the test server, so we can't tell. They also added an option so you can change it so that you can't damage cornerstones with bombs and abilities. And then also one of the coolest changes in the game is they actually made it so that, you know, when you go into a dungeon, you hold the pickup item button. Yeah, so that you can actually swap and choose which items are going to end up being picked up from that. So I have it set to Shadow, meaning that we're going to be able to pick Shadow and up as far as just holding E and picking up all the items in the vicinity. If you want to pick up all the garbage items, you just have to tap it on it individually. But it's really cool that they actually have this setting. Unfortunately, because shadow item is just shadow, shadow means that it's not going to differentiate between a shadow 1 and a shadow 5. So you just have to set shadow and up. Otherwise, if you don't care about shadow and getting your pentas, you can just get radiant and stellar, and that's that, you know. But it's a really cool setting that they actually had that, I think. They also added an option in the miscellaneous tab. Oh, that's the exact same thing that I just read. So crystal gathering potions, this is kind of funny. They kind of screwed over a lot of players, and in a lot of ways should actually refund us for this big change. But it's crystal gathering potions are going to give you 50% more crystals when you get crystals out of a greater cache, a lesser crystal cache, or crystal pinatas themselves. Now, don't be too confused about that, guys. We're not talking about it increasing the chances of crystals actually dropping. It's just when crystals drop out of them, you're going to end up getting 50% more. So hopefully that should end up having some type of an impact on the amount of crystals that we actually gather in this game. But unfortunately, it seems like they are just putting their foot down and absolutely stubborn, and don't seem to realize that gathering crystals is single-handedly why so many people have quit the Geode update. Like, barely anyone's maxed it out. There's still quite a few people in the, you know, broad scope of things, but as far as the majority of players, no, it's too daunting a task to grind out Geode, man. So they also finally added a sort function, so you can just click this at any time. They also added it to your personal chest as well, but it's a personal chest, so you probably already have it kind of organized in the first place. It's still cool that they have that though. And then they also added a item so you can toggle on the opening UI that allows players to open opening chest UI. So this is going to be really cool for console players. I actually have a mod that's conflicting with this right now because the Karma mod is still better for PC players. But there's going to be a little checkbox that you can click right here, and then the boxes that you have selected are going to open until you end up triggering a rare. So that's really cool. It's either going to go all the way up to Karma, or it's just going to end up triggering. The Karma bar mod itself is still going to end up showing you how much you need before Karma. You can choose how many you're going to end up opening and stuff, but at least console players are going to have the option of having the auto unbox stuff. Now, one thing you gotta keep in mind is that if you click that and then you start opening the boxes and it starts going crazy, the next box that you end up clicking on is just going to continue that spree. It's not going to end up resetting every type of box that you end up opening, so keep that in mind. The Geode area now also does have a map that is kind of clunky, honestly. They also reduced the time it takes to have cave critters throw you their rewards, not to mention just having them actually complete. So you go into a cave, you throw a blanket down, the thing's just going to go bam, I'm okay, and it's going to give you a lesser cache. So keep that in mind, all you crazies that are trying to grind the Geode stuff. That should end up helping out because, you know, more lesser caches means more crystals, potentially anyways. Opening the collections panel from the character sheet will now default to the show favorites. So some people don't like this. I kind of do, because whenever I'm selecting just random mounts and stuff like that, I'll just go into my collections menu, type it in, or just search for them manually and stuff. But now we can just click on our dragon right here, and it's going to show all of the favorite mounts that I have selected, just period. So I think that's a much better system, just because it means that we can just cycle through the items that we want right away, which most of all, I like that, because if it would ever work, this game is like so broken right now. For tomes, I can't click on tomes, I don't know why, but we would be able to actually just click on tomes and go through our favorites list. Yikes, man, it's been like a week or two since I've been sick, and my throat still gets dry every now and then. It's really like so annoying, dude. But either way, I like that mostly for the tomes, not so much for the mounts and stuff. The marketplace now also has a resell option, so if an item of yours ends up getting taken out of the market, you can just click resell rather than having to type it in yourself again. Camera distance will now also stay at the orientation that you end up having it at, or not orientation. If you zoom out your camera, go into a new map, it's not going to zoom in again. It should just stay where you put it. I don't think that's going to stay if you end up relogging from the game, obviously. Damage numbers have also been added to the phase fairy dance ability. They also fixed the Dino Tamer's ultimate, so it shouldn't get stuck anymore. Fixed an issue preventing Zahadin, which is one of the primordial dragons, from working with the Fey Trickster subclass ability. Tweaks the damage. Somebody tell me what this means in the comment section, because I have no idea what it means. Tweaked the damage size for the Vanguardian's ranged attacks. What does that mean? Please somebody explain it to me in English. I thought that it meant the size of the ranged attack, so the AoE of the ranged attacks for the Vanguard. I tested it, no change whatsoever. I don't know whether or not it meant like just the size as in the damage of the ability, but nope, that didn't end up changing either. So I really have no idea what that ended up actually changing, dude. Like, seriously. So the kill 30 enemy dungeons are now going to spawn enemies 10 at a time instead of 5 at a time. So that should end up making those go a lot faster. The loot collector will also now include items in the currency inventory. Items in the currency inventory should no longer deconstruct or loot collect into 100 glim. I don't know why they still call it deconstruct, because the game always just calls it loot collecting because it's a loot collector. But deconstructor is what the item or what the crafting table used to be. The scroll speed when you're browsing a merchant store should actually be a lot faster. Loot collecting equipment while in build mode will no longer auto-equip the item. An error message should end up being gotten rid of. And plants will now grow in any season. So those of you going into the gardening or just trying to craft specific plants shouldn't end up dealing with any more problems with that. You can just craft them anytime. And a chocolate sponge has been added to the final tier of gardening, which is cool, because up to this point we had to use the chocolate face of flow in order to end up getting a pool of chocolate. Now we can just craft the sponge, throw it, get a chocolate river item or a chocolate item, whatever, in our inventory, so we can just build a chocolate lake now instead of having to specifically use that thing. Then they fixed a typo. Message about receiving zero Geode mastery has been fixed. Something about skyblocks flickering. Who cares? There we go. That's all of them so far, but we've got a couple little hot fixes here that we are going to cover very briefly. A couple changes to the Ice Age, which we're going to skip over, and Zendri, which as far as I know, Zendri is the other adventurine dragon. Yeah, this guy right here. So they've actually added a stat to him, which is he now grants energy regen and maximum health in addition to all of his other stats, because otherwise this dragon was supposed to have given us a little bit more than just 2 stats. And the double PvP experience has been removed from the weekly contest rotation because it was too confusing for players, obviously. And now it's just arena win experience, I guess, which I don't know. They say that the experience has been removed. It only affects the old battle arenas, so the event has been confusing for some players. Bomber Royale is affected by the normal double experience instead. So I don't know why it still says arena win experience. Maybe that's where their way of saying that it's just going to end up giving you more experience while you're in Bomber Royale. I don't know. But either way, quite a few things can end up actually changing with this update before it ends up going live, guys. That's why I'm going to have one video that's going to kind of summarize and talk about the Ice Age, but then I'll have a more detailed video come out later when the character ends up getting fully upgraded and everything. But I guess I should also show the video effects of this guy. It's pretty cool. But I'll have a separate video that's going to show off the dragon too. So thanks for watching. Very much appreciate it, guys. I know that this was a longer video, but it technically was a patch notes, even though it was on the test server. Either way, I will put a link in the description to everything so you can check it out for yourselves. Otherwise, have yourselves a fantastic day. Don't forget to hit that like button, sub, and notification bell. Bing bong. And then if you want to support me, you can always sponsor the YouTube channel for a monthly fee. Check down below for my merch store, but if you don't have any money and you still want to support me, there is options for Gawkbox as well as Solidarity app. Quite literally, you access those on your phone, and for example, it'll tell you, download this phone game, play it for 2 minutes, we'll give you free money that you can give to a content creator. How cool is that, man? And it takes like only a couple minutes of your time. Thanks so much for watching though, guys. Sayonara and stay epic.